Grace, peace, and welcome to Podcast of the Whills, a podcast that treats Star Wars like a sacred text. I am your host, Nick Milkey, and I'm a little more yellow, orange. I don't know what's going on tonight. We're having some technical difficulties. And if you grew up going to any kind of summer camp, they'd sing a really cheesy song, technical difficulties, while they couldn't make the microphones work and that kind of mess. I'm not going to sing to you because I want you to hang out and watch this and not run away. But my webcam quit working, so I'm using the camera on my laptop tonight, which is fine, and we're going to get this done anyhow because we have a fun show tonight. We have an outstanding guest that I'm excited to spend some time talking to, laughing with, and just generally getting into trouble. So before we get to that, I have to make plugs. I have to talk about T-shirts, which kind of feels like it goes with the territory. I'm also jumping between two screens with my mouse, and it's not working very well, so bear with me. T-shirts. We have the Dad Batch T-shirt for all of our favorite Star Wars space dads. We have two Podcast of the Whills logo shirts. The big one in the middle is kind of in honor of Book of Boba Fett. Again, super shout out to our friend Pete at Around the Galaxy for making that for us. We have the hashtag Spark of Positivity T-shirt. And then also in the top right corner, if you're new to the show, if you haven't heard me talk about it in a while, I have a second podcast with my wife and my four daughters where we are watching the Marvel movies in chronological order. My wife has no concept or familiarity at all with these movies, and it's called Heroes of the MomCU, and we're making her watch them, and we're recording her reactions both before and after we watch the movies, and it's been a lot of fun. And this past Friday night, we recorded our Black Widow episode. So that is available now if you want to catch the episode, if you want to get a Heroes of the MomCU t-shirt. It actually was a really great episode. I've gotten some feedback from some of our listeners already and how much they really enjoyed the conversation. So I'd love for you to check that out and, get a t-shirt or something, because who doesn't have enough t-shirts or clothing or other things in there? Don't look at that. We are, all right. I'm sorry. I'm going to try really hard not to be distracted because of my electronic problems. Tonight, my guest is everybody's favorite person in the Star Wars podcasting space. She's fun. She shows up everywhere. She's one of the hosts of the Imperial Senate podcast. She's on Bro Axiom Shooting the Poodoo most Sunday nights, but not tonight, suckers. She's hanging out with me. She's also does Quick Shot of Bro Axiom for Dr. Afra comic books. And she's just a delight, an ray of sunshine. And so I'm super excited to welcome my friend Claire to the show tonight.
What's up? Oh,
What's
look
up,
at that
Claire?
intro. What a
It's
nice
good.
Intro.
Well, you deserve it. You totally deserve it. You're one of, like I said, you're everybody's favorite person. You show up and you laugh and you go along with all of our silly schemes. You know, if Jackson says throw an action figure in your beer, you don't ask questions. You just do it. So
No, why just go with it? It's more fun to just go with it.
And if Jackson says it either is going to kill you or it's going to make you stronger. It's really only one of two things.
It really is true.
So I'm so glad that you're here to hang out, and I'm excited about our conversation that we're going to have because I know it is something that is near and dear to your heart, and we'll dig into that in a little bit. And I was kind of inspired for this idea of watching, and I guess another thing that I should have plugged is on Tuesday nights, Claire has Battlefront Tuesday, where she plays Battlefront 2 on Twitch. A couple weeks ago, I jumped in and attempted to play and got slaughtered because I'm terrible at that game. But
I'm not any good either. Don't worry.
She's fun to hang out and chat and talks with all the folks that are hanging out and watching with her. So while that was going on last week and I was watching her stream, this idea for what the top 7 list came to me is going to be. So we're going to get to that in just a little bit. But before we get to all of that, I want to say hello to everybody in the live chat. We've got a bunch of friends hanging out already. I see Michael. I see Gary. I see Alexander Callis, which is one of my children. I see JD. I see Boop. Boop says that Claire is her favorite.
Kisses, Boop.
I see Frank and Amy. We've got lots of friends hanging out tonight. And it would not be a Podcast of the Whills show if we didn't have a guest cocktail. And tonight is no exception. And I texted Claire earlier in the week and I was like, what kind of, booze do you have on hand? Because I don't want to make you have to get too much stuff. I don't want to make you go away. And she's like, dude, I've got everything. And she has a really impressive bar. So that made it even more fun. So we do have a cheesy Photoshop, which is going to be one of the themes of the night. But our drink tonight is called Claire's Christmas Crush.
Oh my God.
We have this beautiful image. We have Claire. We have Salacious holding his drink. And so for this drink, I have some gin in my cup. I've got some ice. We're going to add some cranberry juice, about like that. Again, I got to find the camera. We've got a little splash of orange juice. And then we're going to top it off. And this is why you open the bottles ahead of time, folks. If you're a professional.
Don't have to explode.
We open the bottles ahead of time, and we're going to top it off with some ginger ale.
Heck yeah.
Shout out to my friends at Publix who aren't sponsoring this show, but, you know, if you want to. So I raise my glass to Claire. Yep. She's got it. She's got to top it off.
Need a little more pink. There we go.
That's right. Got to get some good pink and red going on here. So cheers to you, my friend, and thanks for hanging out.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited for this. Cheers. Merry Christmas.
Boop, I'm going to hold you to that.
I approve.
Boop said her guest cocktail will be boxed wine drunk out of a Garfield cup. That's legit.
That's awesome.
So Claire.
Well, and I've got my Salacious on my glass today.
Yes, you do. That's solid. I did these guest cocktails out of my Return of the Jedi glasses for a while, and I had a moment where I almost dropped it one night. I got a little too anxious. So luckily, a good friend of mine got me this rocks glass that has the Falcon being chased by TIE fighters. So this has become the pod glass.
That's amazing. I collect Star Wars barware. I don't collect a whole lot of Star Wars things, but I, of course, have the Salacious Crumb collection.
Sure.
And then Star Wars barware is the other thing. I have a bunch of pint glasses. I have wine glasses. I have shot glasses. I have insert glasses here. I probably have them and different size, like ice molds and all. So that is my thing. So I don't awesome. Have those. Those are very cool.
I'm pretty sure that came from Big Lots. So if you have a Big Lots nearby, that might be where you can track that down.
Need to make a pilgrimage.
That's right. It's time to do your work. So Claire, you and I have connected over the last several months over several important things, the most important of which being the 2021 World Series champion Atlanta Braves. That's a big deal. You are a Georgia girl. You're originally from Georgia. You live in Illinois now. Ironically enough, I was born in Illinois and now live in Alabama. So we kind of did the flip-flop. But we connected over baseball and the Braves, and you grew up watching the Braves with your family. It was kind of a big family event, and it was the same way for me. We grew up, I think, as I've said before on the show, I grew up a Cardinals fan when we lived in Illinois, but we moved to Montgomery, Alabama when I was 10 years old, and thanks to Ted Turner and TBS, the Braves were ever present all the time. And something that my family had always done together was watch baseball. So that didn't change. Only the baseball we watched was the Braves. And it was those terrible Dale Murphy years and Jeff Treadway. And, you know, then we came up through Sid Bream and Jeff Blauser and Belliard and, you know, those good 90s years, all the division championships. And I still have some sort of like deep-seated kind of underlying affection for the Cardinals because that's how I grew up. But like the Braves are my ride or die team. And I'll never not be a Braves fan. And also, like, I love all sports. And another thing we have in common is the SEC. You went to Missouri, is in the SEC. You're from Georgia. You're a Georgia fan, if I'm not mistaken,
I disappointed my dad significantly by going to Mizzou and not Georgia.
Well, you know,
okay. That's okay.
It is okay. But so we have that pedigree as well. Football, sports, Southern, you know, that kind of stuff. But baseball has always been my number one. And, you know, I'm an Auburn fan. My wife is an Alabama grad. So we have that classic house divided thing going on. But it will always be baseball. So when we made this run this postseason, and you and I even kind of got into like that superstition mode, like if things were, no matter how things were going in a game, we would message one another before or after. But while it was going on, it was radio silence because we don't jinx it. We don't have mojo.
The one time I did tweet publicly about the Atlanta Braves, everything immediately fell apart right after. So I'd always check in. I'd be like, hey, just want you to know, ready to go. Game time. Let's go.
That's right.
Teamwork and goodbye for a couple hours. Talk to you later.
That's right. Catch you on the flippity flip. Boop, we love you too. And we're about to stop sporting here in just a second.
Don't worry. I'll give you a break.
So we have all these kind of things in common and connected over baseball. And then during Potathon, y'all had me come on with you for Imperial Senate to play. What was that game called?
Quiplash, one of my
Quiplash,
favorite
yes.
things ever. My family actually played it over like at Thanksgiving, which was so
That's
much
awesome.
fun. And it reminded me of how old my nephews had gotten. I'm like, oh no, these
They're
answers are
getting
more
grown-up answers.
mature than
Yeah,
I expected. I'm scared.
exactly.
Oh God.
So let's do this as we get into a little bit of interview, a little bit more of, get to know Clare. I've talked about a bunch of things you're into, but tell us kind of about Clare in general. Give us a little bit of general background, who you are,
Ooh.
that fun stuff.
Who am I? Question I ask myself still to this day.
on the daily.
No, yeah, so you kind of hit on the major points. I was born in Georgia, went overseas for a while, lived in Scotland for about 5 years when I was really little.
Wow.
Came back to Illinois. So which is actually kind of funny because my family had not seen an Atlanta Braves division series or World Series because we were in the UK, which is painful, big sad. So this was the first time that I got to experience it with my dad, and that my dad got to actively watch it,
awesome.
which is so cool, which has made it such like an emotional fall for all of us. It really was incredible. But yeah, we were, as you said, my whole family, we were sports people. We were raised on baseball. All of us played baseball or softball.
Mm-hmm.
I played baseball through high school, was looking to play in college, and then decided against it, that I wanted to like move on. Like, you don't go pro in softball, so I'm just going to go enjoy my college experience. Sure. Like, I mean, people do go pro in softball, but they don't get paid anything. And you know, it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig.
It's pretty specifically important to get to.
Yes. But yeah, so been a big sports fan. When I was little, we had Star Wars action figures. But there was just this moment. It's growing, buddy. It's growing. But yeah, we had Star Wars action figures, and then my dad realized, have we shown you those movies? And then I was like, no. And from there, the chaos just went. And so I grew up being the only person in my family who took this Star Wars thing and ran with it. My dad's a Trekkie, first and
Mine
foremost.
Too. Yep.
So that's another. Disappointed him with the University of Missouri. Disappointed him with the Star Wars, but that's okay. Because
it's all right.
We enjoy both. We both enjoy both of them. So not a complete failure after all. And yeah, so I grew up big Star Wars nerd, mostly a closet Star Wars nerd because kids are mean. And then I was a big sports person and a big musical theater person. So basically every group that I was in socially, they were like, oh, she's the singing girl. She's the musical girl. And they're like, oh, she's the sports girl. And I'm like, whatever. I'm a little weird no matter what group I'm in. And guess what? None of that has changed. So
that's right.
That's pretty much how it goes.
That's right. Just, where you're weird.
Yeah. Let the freak flag fly.
That's right. Whichever weird you want to be today is the weird that you choose.
Right.
Well, and I love that. And I've heard you tell that on another show before. I don't remember whose show it was, but talking about kind of your first introduction to Star Wars was the toys, which is not, common for everybody. And you're decently younger than I am. So were they prequel era toys, or were they OT toys that had come from older siblings? You're not really old enough for the original trilogy per se. But what were the toys? Kind of what was the era of all of that discovery?
So a lot of my introduction to Star Wars did come from the prequel era because, I was born in 94. My brother was born in 92. So we had a lot of those toys were starting to get, in the mid to late 90s, re-releasing all these toys so that we can get ready for these movies that are going to come out, get ready for the special editions and all that stuff. So I had a lot of those era toys. Sure. But my oldest brother, Matt, was born in 79. So we had a lot of like his stuff too. Awesome. And he was like, whatever. So I had a good mix of both of them.
That's cool.
Yeah. So grew up in
that's unusual. That's right. That's unusual for you to find both, to have. It's either or most of the time. It's not usually. And if it is older toys and older trilogy stuff, like, it doesn't usually survive. Like having a big brother who was born in 79. Like, I don't have any of my original stuff. Everything I have, I've recollected over adult years and some of that kind of stuff. So to have, not only OT stuff, but to have it be legit and original, That's pretty cool. And so what was the very first Star Wars movie that you remember seeing or that you saw?
Oh, so the very first one that I saw was A New Hope. We
Okay.
saw that at home on VHS. That was the one that my dad put on after he was like, "Oh yeah, we haven't shown you Star Wars, but you're playing with the toys. Do you know anything about this?" So that was the one, and we watched that whole original trilogy on VHS.
Love it.
And then after that was the prequel introduction. And then from that point, it was just like, God, oh my God, this is something completely different, something completely insane. It just exploded my whole brain. But yeah, my introduction was the OT, and to this day,
Okay.
it'll always be the best. But the prequels, they really felt like the time of like the story of my childhood,
Mhm.
because they were coming out when I was growing up, and it was actively like,
Well,
this is the thing.
that's right. Well, and I think it would be interesting to look at or talk about for a minute. Um, you mentioned being a musical theater person, and we're going to get into that with our top 7 list tonight. That's no secret. We've teased that on Twitter and all that. But I wonder, like you said, and the phrase that you said, the story of it, your life, your childhood, being wrapped up in Star Wars. One of the big descriptors that we have used for a lot of years, probably before my time, with Star Wars is a space opera. It is very dramatic and operatic. And while there are not musical numbers, music is still an integral part of
Mhm.
Star Wars and the lore, and honestly, the experience of it, the way we interpret it, the way we hear it. So I guess my long-winded question to you is it possible that Star Wars had some influence on your decision to want to do theater and theatrical things?
Oh, absolutely, because Star Wars was part of my introduction to listening and paying attention to the music in a movie. Like, it was one of those things, it was some of the first music that I fell in love with was from the Star Wars movies. And a lot of my decision, like, to get into, like, theater and get into musicals was through singing. I went into choir. I went into band first. I played the trumpet, and then I played the bassoon. Um,
Okay.
but then from there, I had friends that I did choir in, like, middle school, yeah, that was the first music that I remember actually falling in love with, what were the scores for the Star Wars movies. So absolutely, it 100% was a huge part in me wanting to pursue music, and then through music getting into musicals, and realizing that it's something that, one, I was good at, and two, that it could really, really capture my imagination and help me be creative. And
Mm-hmm.
without that creative side of me, I don't know if I'd be sitting here doing podcasts. I don't know if I'd be sitting here knowing any of you, which is really
Sure.
kind of neat.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talk a lot about that. And, in this circle that you and I both exist in with all of the shows that our friends do, and we all kind of bounce around each other. And honestly, that's something that I love about just another of the many things that Star Wars has brought me in my life. It has brought you, like I said, like you said, creativity. Like, I
Mhm.
like to write, and that comes from my love of Star Wars and reading Star Wars books in high school, the old EU and that kind of
Yes.
stuff, and having those moments of going, I want to write a book like that. And it ends up being articles and, short, I think I'm smarter than I am things or whatever it is. But like the inspiration to do that came from that kind of thing. I was a band kid too, only I was bass and guitar and drums. And those were fake rock bands in college. So I don't think Star Wars had as much of an impact on that. But the creativity part it did. And even it stemmed from imagination as a kid, playing with those Star Wars toys and figures and imagining that I could be Han Solo, imagining that I could be, Luke Skywalker. And so it does feed creativity. And then as an adult and for a hobby, I host the show, and I'm always trying to
Yeah.
make it more creative and trying to do it better and learn the technical aspects of it. And, also get to meet people along the way. Like you said, I wouldn't have any of that if it wasn't for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
All
it's really
Remaining
neat.
Systems in the chat brings up a really good point that I relate to so much. Before I got my first actual role in musical theater, like my first role, like lead role in a show ever, I was in 8th grade. And before that,
Mm-hmm.
I barely said a word, which is weird if you know me now because I don't ever shut up. But back then I was just so shy, and I only did the musicals like because my friends did them. And then I got a
Mm-hmm.
role and I'm like, oh God, I have to talk. I have to sing. I have to, like, people have to look at me. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And it brought me out of my shell. And now look at me.
Absolutely.
Thriving.
Well, and that's
I
another really
guess.
great point, and that was something that I had thought about earlier today, thinking about this conversation with you. Is I have twin daughters who are in the 8th grade, and this past summer, or actually last spring during quarantine and lockdown, they had been talking for years about how they wanted to try acting. And so we have a local community
Yes.
playhouse here that was doing an online Zoom acting class in the spring for beginners and kids their age. So they took that class for like 6 or 8 weeks last spring online from home. And then, like, the middle of May, we got an email from one of the people that taught their class. And he said, "We're doing a production of The Giver this summer, and we want to invite Harper and Lily to both be in the ensemble for the play." And so, of course, they jumped at the opportunity, but they had never done anything like that before. And they were in the ensemble, which means they each had like 9 different roles, and they got to do all this different cool stuff. And we spent 2 months this past summer, 5 nights a week, 3 hours a night. They had play practice, and that's what we did every night. And then when we got to July and the show hit, the show hit, of course, we went to opening night. We're sitting there, right up by the screen, or I mean, by the stage. And they were the first 2 out onto the stage, because it's when the plane is supposed to fly over at the very beginning.
Mhm.
And they were 2 of the parts of the plane. And so they're literally the first 2 people to hit the stage. And I just melted. I melted into a puddle,
I love
because
it.
it's that thing as a parent. And I've talked about this before. When I get to see my kid find their thing, like, they had so much fun. They loved it. They can't wait to do it again. They do the youth productions in the summer because of the time commitment. And so, like, they've been doing they did a class this fall, they do another class in the spring, but like, they were hooked immediately. The first week was a little iffy. One of the twins was like, "I don't know if I want to do this." And I said, "Well, we've committed to this one,
Yeah.
and we're
You
going to see it
can't
through.
quit.
Yeah,
Just
we
do
can't
it.
quit. They're counting on you. And after this, you never have to do it again if you don't want to." Um, but again, by the second week, they were all in, and it was just phenomenal. And it has, like y'all have talked about, like Michael said, like you said, has opened up shy kids into being able to
Mhm.
do more things. And, they're
Yeah.
doing acolyting stuff. They're doing, more stuff at school. Like, it's really powerful to see that. And it's something that I've always admired in other people. Like, I've always thought, I can't sing, I'm not a vocalist, but I would love to be in a play someday. Like, I think it would be really amazing to have the opportunity to act in a play.
It's awesome. Just do
Um,
it one time. If you have a time, you have an easier, just do it. It
yeah,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like,
yeah,
just do it. Do it once. It'll probably, you can, exactly. Don't ever do it again if you don't like it, but it's an experience unlike any other. It's a very interesting collaborative environment. And I loved hearing like about you talking about your girls doing it, because my dad is not, not a big musical guy. Like he'd watch like he'd seen like Paint Your Wagon and like Oklahoma and whatever his mom had on TV when
right.
it were like put on the TV. But um now after me being in shows, they have season tickets to Broadway in Chicago, to the
Hmm.
Chicago Shakespeare Theater. It's like,
Yeah,
theater's
it's awesome.
good, y'all. Like, it's great.
Yeah, we have a really great the theater that the twins did their play at. We have a really great local community theater here. It's called the Cloverdale Playhouse, and they do first Tuesday of the month. They do a local independent music guitar singer songwriter thing. They do adult classes. They actually did an improv class this fall, and I hated to miss it because I really want to do that. Um,
I'm so
but yeah,
bad, but
but
it's
my
so
chance are going to
fun.
come. It's so fun, and I've
Mhm.
spent so much time watching and listening to people, podcasts that I listen to that are just full of improvisers and comedians and people that, like, all their backgrounds came from Second City and UCB and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just going, those feel like my people. Like, that's something I want to get into or try at some point, and I will. It's just a matter of, finding that opportunity, finding that time.
It'll come.
Um, so lots of Star Wars in theater, in your upbringing, in your growing up. So as we kind of continue down that path, talking about musical theater, we're going to jump into this top 7 list, because you're going to have some explaining to do as we go along. So first, we'll get another good shot of Claire's Christmas Crush, our
Cheers.
cocktail logo for the evening. Um, our top 7 list tonight is Claire's top 7 Star Wars Broadway moments. And I gave this kind of a generic, descriptor of Broadway moments. And I told her, I was like, run with this however you want to. It could be a moment in Star Wars that feels very Broadway. You could pick out and make up and imagine shows, which is kind of where we went. And so we're going to jump into this with number 7. I'm going to pop it up on the screen, and we're going to let Claire, because she has cast some of the roles. She has some good ideas. And to all of you that are listening to this in the audio feed, I'm going to apologize now. You may want to come back and catch the YouTube rewind at some point, because there is a lot of quality bad Photoshop in these next 7 choices. Maybe not the first one, because it's pretty straightforward. But after that, as I told Claire before we went on air, this is why I shouldn't have access to Photoshop, because if I'm going to be really good at something, I think I'm going to be really good at bad Photoshopping. So this is me flexing that muscle just a little bit. So number 7, Claire, Krell the musical. And this comes from a very specific place, and I can't wait for you to tell everybody. Tell us about Krell the musical, please, ma'am.
Well, so Krell the musical, the idea came from this Friday, when I was definitely supposed to only be working. I opened Twitter, and I just see at the top of my screen a Twitter space called Pong Krell Did Nothing Wrong. And this is this heinous title came from Connor and Michael, and Chris Swift was a part of it, and Charlie, of course, joined in, because anything that heinous, Charlie has to join in. And of course, at one point we bring up, because it's me and because it's Chris and all we know how to do is talk about musicals, we bring up Tick Tick Boom, and we bring up Dear Evan Hansen, which had just come out. He sucks in the best way. Wouldn't he be a great Broadway villain? Oh my God, he'd be excellent. So the thing, when we imagined Krell the musical, I personally imagine it as a rock opera kind of musical, very much. So one of the musical numbers, which I am particularly proud of, I believe, I can't remember who specifically thought of, is the song would be called Up in Arms. Because look at him, he's got 4 arms. And that is Krell singing about being up in arms over all of these clones that are disobedient and not following them. And he's just like wanting them to be in line. And then in Act 2, when the clones start rebelling again, the clones sing the reprise, which is Brothers in Arms, coming back to attack Krell. And I imagine it with a lot of different dance numbers. It's going to be a rock opera with a lot of homage to different dance styles. So, for example, I imagine Krell being a tap dance villain, a bit of a campy villain. Somebody cast Michael Cera as Von Krell. It is something that I cannot unsee. But if you guys have seen Bloodline on Netflix, with one of the brothers is played by a really talented Broadway actor named Norbert Leo Butz. He plays the brother who's like a bit of a douchebag. That's my Pong Krell, because he's a little douchey and he's a little, but he could be a great villain, really great villain, and a great dancer. I also picture a rage dance moment a la Footloose. Krell the musical is the only one on this list that is an original musical. But it was too funny. Meatloaf, sorry, I just got it. Oh no, Hot Patooey, bless his soul.
That's right. I like this one from Framey as well. Lots of baton twirling from Pong Krell's musical number.
Light up batons, one green, one blue. Oh my God.
Maybe a spin-off version, Pong Krell Light Up the Dark with batons.
No. Especially Light Up the Dark would be a great number because they're on Umbara. So
See,
it's pretty dark. Go. Oh my God.
Lots of baton twirling.
Could you imagine the set and lighting design and makeup design for that? It would be beautiful. Beautiful. Tony's all around. Krell the musical. We're gonna get the Kickstarter going. We're gonna make it happen, guys.
This is gonna be a thing. There's gonna be a whole this starts to move us into like Blue Bantha Milk territory if we're not careful. So anything else for Krell before we move on to number 6?
I don't know. I just want to see him with his 4 arms and 2 legs, do some sort of dance number, and I need it, and now I need baton twirling.
There's a shimmy. That's right. And this
Magic's
is
gonna
like
happen.
this whole podcast is just like a writer's room to work out all these ideas.
That's right.
All right.
If
Well,
only I could write music.
that's right. As we move on to number 6, this is where we start to take a hard left into all of my bad photoshopping. So your number 6 was Phantom of the Octo.
Yes. Phantom of the Octo.
I mean,
I think it's just like amazing waiting to happen. Literally, there's a whole bunch of Force Ghost action going on Octo. So phantom vibes indeed. Phantom of the Opera starts with a flashback kind of deal. Or like in the future, and then the whole movie is a flashback. We could start with Luke on Octo as a Force Ghost, talking about his times there. And if you think about it, I'm sorry if you are a really big Reylo stan. I'm not here to make any Reylos mad. I'm not. It's personally not for me, but that's okay. I don't want to ruin your ship. A lot of people in real life ship the Phantom and Christine, which I don't understand, but y'all go on. But in this case, Kylo is clearly the Phantom. He's a weird, broody, creative. He's this weird little broody weirdo in a mask. That's what he is.
Right.
And he pines after Rey, our Christine, his angel of music, his angel of the Force, whatever she is. She's probably from the moons of Iego. Something. It's just I was bored, man. But that's the thing. And Finn is clearly the Raoul of this situation, trying to save Christine from the clutches of the Phantom so he can stay with her. It's very, very dramatic. It just be Kylo being like, because the entire Last Jedi plot is Kylo being like, I want you to join me. And the Phantom is literally like, come live in my cave and be my little creepy angel of music. That's their relationship. And it would be such great melodrama. And in the end, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Phantom of the Opera, the Phantom doesn't die. So that'd be a better ending for the Reylo fans that were mad that he didn't. He gets to sneak off into the night and pine after her until Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote a terrible sequel called Love Never Dies, which is trash. Delicious, delicious, hot steaming garbage. But Kylo is total Phantom type. Weird, broody, and has a crush on a girl he can barely know how to talk to. So that's right. Be great.
Well, if you needed any more indication that probably the last time I've seen Phantom of the Opera, I was like 10 years old, we see that I put Luke's face on this instead of Kylo's, because I was going with like Rey returning Force Ghost Phantom, not the actual love and drama. So I honestly didn't fully understand the assignment on this one.
Octo, though. That's okay. Right. I was just trying to think of something with 2 syllables that was in the sequel trilogy that seemed all right, because they had a lot of their Force connections on Octo. So I was like, whatever.
That's right. Well, I will say Andy jumped in here with a good solid dad moment with Phantom of the Oppressed.
That would be amazing. Absolutely
right. That becomes
amazing.
a whole other show.
And here's the thing, Boop brings up Past the Point of No Return, which is really a horny little song where they're just like, I'm going to screw you, and it's on stage. And that's the great thing, is that there you go, Reylos, you get more than just a kiss before he dies. Now let it reward upon you both. So good.
See, we've got people here. We're gonna continue to roll with this.
Y'all are my people. I love it.
Are you ready for number 5? Do we have anything else here?
No, I think goofy ass mask and trying to seduce her. Yeah, that's the Phantom to a T. That's all I got.
That's pretty good. I like that. That's really good. All right, so number 5, we have Force Awakening.
That's Photoshop.
Yep, I got you. We're gonna have to go full screen on a couple of these because
that's all you need. Wow. I will put this in that this was a show that I personally was in, and I played the Vendla role, which is why this is even funnier to me that this Photoshop. It's such a show that it's so close to my heart. It's so cheap. It's like so over the top. It's a show that you really, really love in middle school and high school, and then you grow out of it a little bit, but you never lose your fondness for it. Spring Awakening, if you're not familiar with the plot Spring Awakening, this is basically what it is. We're in the 1800s. We're in Germany. We are in a super conservative society. So these kids, they're all around 14, 15 years old. They're really sheltered and they don't know what like sex is and they don't know where babies come from. And guess what happens when they ask questions? The adults in their lives let them down and they don't answer them. And guess what happens when you do that? Kids gonna get together and babies happen. And in a society that's like full of shame and full of that kind of thing, it ends up being a big old bummer. So if you think about it, Anakin Skywalker, our Melchior Gabor of this musical, he was a guy himself who was not conceived in the traditional way. His mom supposedly didn't even do it, and then he showed up. So he doesn't know where babies come from. Then they move this little sheltered kid into an even more sheltered place where the Jedi are like, nah, suppress all them urges, ignore it, push it down. And then he meets an angel and he's like, oh man, you're my girl. And guess what ends up happening? Much like the plot of Spring Awakening, they have sex, they produce fetuses, and guess what happens in both of them? They die because of the faults of the main character, essentially.
See?
So in Spring Awakening, it's essentially a coat hanger abortion. Not bueno, really not bueno. And Anakin force chokes his wife, and then she dies in childbirth. So I mean, it's Force Awakens.
Sad endings for everybody.
Yeah, just sad all around. Yeah, it was a big old bummer down.
I will say, I will say, speaking of being sad, as much as I enjoyed making all of these bad Photoshops, I did get a little bit sad on this one, having to cover up my girl Leah Michelle, because she's crush worthy on my list for sure.
She is.
But I also covered her up with
Miss
what's her
Natalie.
name? Yes, Natalie, who's also on the list. So
it's like
nobody loses here.
Yeah, right. It's a super dark show. It's really great. You're right, Fanboy Cantina, super dark. But it literally just says so itself. And I will say, Jonathan Groff, who plays Melchior, who you covered up with Hayden Christensen, both super crush worthy. Jonathan Groff was in Mindhunter. He's Kristoff in Frozen. Like we know him, we love him, we approve. But yeah, just Bummer Town. Super cute people we love going through Bummer Town.
Well, and it follows like you said, one of the things I love about all these choices you're making is they follow very, closely the arcs and stories of the Star Wars stories that we love. And, you're going, oh yeah, that is the story. That's just another version of it, another type and style of that tale.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Oh my gosh. Only if somebody had said that one time, like the creator, perhaps. So let's jump into number 4. Maybe we can attempt to lighten things up just a little bit. Let's see what happens. If nothing else, bad Photoshop is going to continue to drive us all. We have Annie. I had to do this just for you. Another salacious moment.
Oh my God.
I feel like this might need to become a Podcast of the Whills t-shirt, actually. And if it is, I'm going to send you one. So go ahead and tell you that right now.
Especially with Annie Live coming out like this week.
That's right. Exactly.
Perfect timing.
Yep.
Oh,
we've got
I love that salacious
Sandy. I mean, salacious. Yep.
Oh my God.
So if you can recover enough, tell us about your version of this Annie.
Oh, so what's the one thing that seems to be harder to escape than a New York orphanage? Slavery. Anakin Skywalker, Annie, little not so orphan Annie, trying to break out of Tatooine and go be free. Miss Hannigan, aka Watto, is not gonna let him go be free. Not gonna let him spread his. I can't even like. Yep, I'm gonna try not to look at it.
Here we go.
There we go.
We believe in you.
My lack of parents disturb me. Oh no. Oh my god. But yeah, so obviously Qui-Gon Jinn is the daddy Warbucks in this situation. Just it's a hard. Oh no. Oh
Yep.
no. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. But yeah, Qui-Gon is obviously the daddy Warbucks in this situation, but just with a lot more hair that takes him away in this, from this slavery, this slave finage. That's a really bad joke. But yeah, that's it. I don't have too much other than Annie as orphan. Annie is so great, and there's something about little orphan Annie Skywalker sitting on the ledge in his little Mos Eisley home or Mos Espa
Mhm.
home, looking over the sunsets, singing "The suns will come up tomorrow." And I just like there's something about that that just makes me
It's
so happy.
it's so good. It works.
It's
I
so
mean,
good.
how do you not get excited about this little honey right here singing "The suns will come up tomorrow"?
Oh, I bet your
It's
bottom credit that tomorrow
That's
there'll
right.
be suns.
That's right. No Republic credits. Only
Oh,
money.
only money. Yeah, so
Well, and
good.
then and now I want Watto singing the little girl song. I'm gonna have to get someone who does a better Watto like me. Andy Lemire, are you listening? we need
Please.
we need Watto to sing "Little Girls" from Annie.
I will literally put in the time to change the lyrics for you. I will rewrite them into
We
parody
can make
lyrics.
this
Just,
happen.
just we will find you a karaoke track. Please just record it.
That's right. Make
Please.
this happen. Oh,
Oh
and see, he's
god.
already at it. Bet your bottom dollar I
I
hate
hate
sand.
sand. We had to throw in a sand reference somewhere.
Oh, Michael Nipp is onto something. He said this is fantastic and clearly means we need an AI created Star Wars Broadway musical.
Michael Nipp, you have no idea how quickly I would be there to record that. I
That's
am
right.
here. I will
We're gonna
put
have
whatever
to
you want.
we're gonna have to call Sean and Matt, and we're gonna have to make something happen
Yes, please, please
on that.
sign me up.
So, well, are you ready? Are
So
we ready
good.
for number 3?
This is one that I'm particularly excited about because
Okay.
I want to play this part.
Well, I hope I don't ruin it
So
with whatever's about to show up next. We're gonna find out. Tatooine.
Thank you for putting
Tatooine.
Ventress on there. Tatooine.
See, you gotta have the poster. You gotta kind of mirror it right.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
and yeah, this is what we came up with.
Tatooine. Yeah, Tatooine is much like the story of Chicago, the musical everybody knew and loved from that wonderful movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Renee Zellweger. The story of Tatooine follows Cy Snoodles after her assassination of Zero the Hutt, her lover, her little secret lover. After that, after you murder a Hutt, guess what happens? People find out she's going to be put on trial for the murder of Zero. But much like Roxy Hart in the story of Chicago, she is going to use this position to become a star. She really is. Can you imagine the cell block tango with the temporarily incarcerated, like Asajj Ventress, Aura Singh, like insert every bounty hunter like femme fatale doing a cell block tango, like he ran into my lightsaber 10 times. Like amazing. It's just it needs to happen. Cy Noodles was born to play Roxy Hart, or in this case, Roxy Hart was born to be Cy Noodles.
See?
It's like so good. I don't do a very good Snooty, but if you think about it, it's like it's so good. It's like the name on everybody's lips is gonna be Snooty. Come on, it's gonna happen. It needs to happen.
You don't have to sell us, Claire. We're sold. We're gonna back this project.
I need it so bad. I need it so bad. I think Snooty would be an amazing Roxy Hart. And yeah, this is one that I want really bad.
Come on, Lucas. Come on, Disney. What are we waiting on?
Oh,
we've done High School Musical 4, 5, and 6 or whatever it is now. We should be
and
able to
High
get
School Musical, the
Tatooine.
musical, the series. Give us Tatooine.
Yeah, see, that's right.
Oh,
give us Tatooine.
God. Tatooine.
And thanks for giving us Boba saying it that way. That now all of us can't resist saying Tatooine.
Oh, it's so good.
That is very, very good. So we have another one, and this one is very kind of borderline modern day. This is,
This is a good segue, by the way.
happening in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, West Side Story of Boba Fett.
That's right. It's the West Side Story of Boba Fett. The way this is my own personal musical envisioning of what we are going to get this month in the show. Oh, it's so cute. For all of you Boba and Fennec romance like stands out there, this is my love song to you. This is my Maria, but in this case, it's Fennec Shand. I just met a girl named Fennec Shand. And suddenly they will never be the same again. So West Side Story, it's the story of Boba Fett, the West Side Story of Boba Fett. Basically, what we're going to find out in the West Side Story of Boba Fett is as he's taking his stuff together, we're going to find out that the Minox and the Fetts are going to be gangs at war. Little do we know.
When you're a Fett, you're a Fett all the way.
Yes. From your first, I was going to say cigarette.
Carbonite to your last something else.
We'll figure it out. We'll write lyrics. It's going to be,
right.
But when you're a Fett, you're a Fett. It's
right.
so true.
You're a Fett all the way.
You're a Fett all the way. But yeah, this needs to happen for me so bad because you find out Boba Fett and Fennec, they fall in love and they're on top of the world. But then you find out that Fennec Shand, she's a Minox. She's related to the Minox. They're all from the same neighborhood she grew up in. So what you're going to find out, it's going to be gang wars, the Fetts versus the Minox, but their love is going to end the feud through their demises at the end of the show. Oh, it's so good. It's so romantic. From your first
Michael's
death stick to your last dying day.
To your last carbonite.
Oh my gracious me. It's just
I like it. And so when I saw this, and of course this is one of the iconic posters and images from, the various versions of this play is this balcony scene. But we get that in the Boba Fett trailer. We have, not him coming over, but we have Fennec and Boba on a balcony at the top of Jabba's palace or whatever that is. So
it's the balcony.
Claire, this could be be We don't have any reason to believe this isn't happening yet.
I'm just saying, when it happens,
go to you.
Thank you. That's right. But yeah, can you imagine the Star Wars level, like at the Rumble? Can you imagine the Star Wars dance music number at a battle, at like a bounty hunter rumble? It'd be amazing. It would not be a fair fight. You're a Fett all the way.
Right there in the courtyard, all around the IG-11 statue they built in season 2.
Yes.
We could make this happen. Are you listening, Disney? Are you listening, Favreau? I know you watch the show. Come on, let's get this going.
Come on now.
Oh, Andy's back. All of you all killed him and my brother and Django, not with bullets or guns, with hate. Well, now I can kill too, because now I have hate.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you guys for making my dreams a reality.
We've got this has legs, Claire. There's real stuff here.
I want it. I want it so bad. Star Wars is made to be a musical. I need it. I need an official Lucasfilm sanctioned one.
Speaking of Star Wars made to be a musical, what a perfect transition to your number 1 selection. And I'm going to put this up on the screen for a second. Annie, a parody. I want you to talk about this. And while you talk about this, I'm going to try and get the other screen loaded up because we're going to attempt to run a little video clip of this. But go ahead and tell us about Annie, a parody.
So Annie, a parody. Let me double check. So this Annie, a parody. This came out in 2014. So this is pre-Force Awakens. Okay. So there is a musical theater group called Star Kid. Cheesy name, I know. But they are some brilliant, brilliant parody artists. And if you love musicals, go check them out. They became very, very internet famous for one of their Star Wars parody musicals starring Darren Criss, a Harry Potter musical, where they did a Harry Potter parody musical. And it was super funny. Video quality, awful. Audio quality, atrocious. But it's funny. It's really, really funny. It's so good. But this theater company, by the way, to this day, to this day, and a Harry Potter musical came out in like 2005 or 6. It's been a long time, but they are still together to this day. To this day. And they're brilliant. They write these amazing parody shows. And this one is not anywhere near the top of their caliber. However, if you have 2 hours of your life, and if you watched the Star Wars holiday special, this is going to be way easier to sit through. It is a mostly dance related Star Wars parody musical, and they have some legitimately funny commentary on the Star Wars movies, and it's fun. It's just fun. So part of the deal with Annie the musical is that Anakin Skywalker, now Darth Vader, he's depressed. He's on the Death Star. He's being a Sith Lord. But he's super depressed. He lost the love of his life. He's stuck in this dead-end job. He needs to be inspired. And so Annie runs into Jar Jar Binks. And Jar Jar Binks inspires Annie to re-enter the Boonta Eve Classic, the thing that brought him so much amazingness as a kid, and relive those happy moments. And so he and Jar Jar go do that. But Obi-Wan finds out he's entering the Boonta Eve, and he's like, oh no, this kid is alive. I gotta make sure I get him out of the picture. And tries to sabotage his Boonta Eve run and get him out of the picture. Anyway, another part of the story is that Moff Tarkin is in love with a stormtrooper named Emily. Moff Tarkin has no game. So Annie hands Moff Tarkin a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper is all the lines that he used on Padme. And he's like, this works. Promise you, this stuff works. And this is a masterpiece. This is it, right? Something lovely.
That's right. We're going to run this here for a second. Hopefully we won't get flagged. We'll see what happens.
Now that I'm with you, I'm an agony.
Oh,
no, an ad.
Come on.
This year has
You're
been
welcome for the free ad revenue.
That's right. You know.
We were so ready.
We'll mute the ad. That's fine. We're doing the best we can.
But it's super funny. The Jar Jar Binks impression is very good. Boba Fett makes an appearance. Mara Jade makes an appearance. They did this all before Disney Star Wars, so it's like, I can't claim to do anything better than this because they did it. And some of the music is genuinely like amazing. Like some of the music is such a bop. Like I have a song of that on my workout playlist. It's great.
Right. The thought of not being with you, I can't breathe. I'm haunted by the kiss that you never should have given me.
We never kissed. Wait, did we?
My heart is beating, hoping that kiss will not become a scar.
Wow. This is so...
Jeffrey Tarkin.
Jeffrey. I don't know why they call him Jeffrey.
Tarkin.
Are a poet. No man has ever spoken to me like this. You just seem so pathetic.
I am. You're
Michael's
in my very
Michael's
soul,
gonna check it out.
tormenting me.
It's worth it.
Sorry,
Check out other stuff too. But this
If
makes
you
me
are
laugh.
suffering as much as I am, please tell me.
I think I am. Jeffrey, this is gonna sound crazy, but I think we should get married tomorrow.
Wow. That is something
Amazing.
else.
It really is. And there's a whole dance number filled with Anakin's lines written into this lovely romantic ballad. There's a pump-up jam of him training, and him and Tarkin and Jar Jar are all wearing crop tops and little shorts, and they're training for the Boonta Eve Classic. Oh, it's great. There's
because
many
who doesn't want Jar Jar in a crop top? Why haven't we made that shirt yet?
I've been asking everyone. Nobody wants to do it.
I have more bad Photoshop work to do. After we get Annie the t-shirt sorted out, that'll be next.
The t-shirt. Oh man, and it's even funnier is Annie, and he's the costuming for Annie in that. He's wearing literally the helmet part without the mask.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so funny. He's been in other shows. He's this portly dude wearing looks like Darth Vader pajamas and just the helmet and no mask. And it's great. And the voice he uses for Annie's so weird. It's kind of like this. We're going to be Anakin Skywalker. I'm like, why are we doing this? I don't know, but I kind of need it. So there you go. See, it's so funny. It's all on YouTube. It's called Annie, a parody. It's by Star Kid. It's 2 hours of your life. It's more it's a better show than the holiday special. But it's bizarre. And there is a monologue in that by Obi-Wan where he does make a bunch of arguments that like pick apart the prequels. And I don't usually love the prequel bashing, but that monologue is so funny. It is so good. I'm like, oh.
Well,
so anyway, I couldn't do any better than the best, you know.
It sounds like you've stumbled upon some Imperial Senate podcast Patreon material. You know,
Truly.
a big viewing, or you know, some other way to make that a whole thing for you. But you've clearly converted some people tonight, so your work is clearly done.
Yes.
That list was so much fun, and like I said, I'm not the most musically conversant. I think I have conversational knowledge most of the time. I know a lot of what the major shows are. I've seen various things here and there. But I know that people who are, like you, who are very much, into musical theater, have done musical theater, like it's a whole separate world. And, it's a whole other thing, whether it's soundtracks and actors. And I love, over the years, when actors show up in shows that I watch, and, one of the headlines always seems to be, oh, this person's in this show. It's a big deal that they came from Broadway. And there's a part of me that's like, no, they're just a good actor. Like, why do we have to make it a thing that they came from Broadway? It has to, like, 30 Rock is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. And Cheyenne Jackson was in a bunch of episodes of 30 Rock as Danny.
Yes, I love Cheyenne Jackson.
First of all, I've never heard anybody sing "Oh Danny Boy" better than that man has sang it. And I don't know that anyone ever could. And he sang literally like 3 bars of it as a part of one of the bits in the show about how he could sing better than Jenna Maroney or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I need all of this. I need every bit of it. And so I went and looked up, went down a little rabbit hole on YouTube, looking up, stuff he had done and sang. And it just, that kind of talent truly is impressive. And so I love when you get to see that kind of crossover. So let's do this. Let's play another game just for a minute. If you could pick a couple of Broadway actors or actresses to be in a Star Wars, who would you pick to be in a legit Star Wars, like Ahsoka, or another movie, like not us making up one,
but one that would happen,
but would be in a Star Wars that would get made, who's an actor? Because we fan cast things all the time, but we don't necessarily ever have a chance to go, ooh, we need to get this theater actor to do it. And not that we haven't had Star Wars actors who have had stage experience, because of course we've certainly had people like Tarkin. He was a stage actor in London.
He was a fabulous. Peter Cushing was amazing. Alec Guinness had stage experience as well.
Alec Guinness was a stage actor, and so it exists in the threads of it. But who are a couple of your favorites that you would want to see in something?
So I love that you asked me this, because also I will be that person who's like, you will not win an Oscar. You will very likely not be the best actor you could possibly be until you've done live theater.
Mm-hmm.
No way. Because on the movies, they say cut. You get a little bit, and they say cut, and they do it over and over and over again. You have to stay. Oh, Annie boy, the younglings are a crying. Amazing. But you don't. First of all, you got to stay in character the whole time.
Right.
Everybody's watching you. You don't get any redos. It is something that's so, you have to be so good to be that good in that setting. It's such a hard thing.
You have to practice, and then you have to show up and deliver. You don't get a do-over if you don't like it. Yep.
You get one shot. And you get to do it 8 days a week, but you get one shot to make that audience.
That's right.
Or that toady
the one that
audience.
Counts. Yep.
Exactly. Every audience counts. But so there's a couple of theater actors that I have been dying to put in things. One of them, And I know I'm going to get eye rolls. I know I'm going to get eye rolls from some people in the chat. But the most talented musical theater actor of this generation is Ben Platt, who was just in the Dear Evan Hansen movie. Oh my God, he looks so old. Cast that man in a role as somebody anxious or sniveling, and he will literally, especially like anxious, he is so talented, and nobody, like, I can't even put into words how unbelievably talented that man is. Mechanically, there's some things he does and I'm like, you are not human. I don't get how you can do that. So Ben Platt's got to be in it. Okay. One of my absolute, it's so hard. There's so many I love. We make it so hard. I'm a really big fan of Billy Magnuson.
Okay.
Billy Magnuson, people don't know, was a theater actor first. He was in the Tony-winning Best Play, Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike. Billy Magnuson was recently in No Time to Die. He was in Game Night. He plays the frat-tastic boy that gets, that's just a little bit too eager puppy.
Yep.
And I don't want to say too much if you haven't seen No Time to Die, but he's really good. Yeah,
he was in the
Broadway boy, baby.
He was in the Sopranos movie as the young Polly Walnuts. I know exactly who you're talking about now.
He'd be such a great, like,
would he be an
charming
Imperial? See, would he be a rogue?
I think he'd be some sort of smuggler, sweet talker, gambler, kind of underworld, seedy, charming, handsome dude who's able to con his way into pretty much whatever he wants. He'd be excellent in that role. I'd like him as an Imperial too, but I think that he'd have more fun. I think his personality would shine more as one of those characters.
Very cool.
But yeah, there's a lot of really good ones out there that need their due.
Well, we just got to start some Twitter campaigns, and you can, you drive the bus for that, and then when they get their big moment, they'll have no choice but to recognize you and fly you out to go to the premiere with them. Exactly. See, we've got a whole plan here. That's right. It's all going to be what nobody knows is that the center of the Star Wars future is not Filoni and Favreau. It's Stribling. That's where it is. Yeah. Her and the resurrection of Salacious. That's right.
He does live, by the way. He lives. No resurrection needed. He's alive. He's kicking it out in the desert. And now that his home is no longer inhabited by Bib Fortuna, one of his dirtiest, deadliest enemies, baby's going to come home. Bring baby home. Yeah.
That's right. That's all we need. We need West Side Story and Salacious Comes Home.
We do. We need a Hugh Jackman softly singing Bring Him Home from Les Mis, but to Salacious. That's what it is.
Yeah. I have to develop video Photoshop skills before we can get you the rest of what you need there. But,
yes.
I love
That's okay. That. We'll get there one step at a time.
Right. Somebody better than me can figure that one out. Get to work, nerds. Make these videos for Claire.
Please make it. I would cry. I would literally cry. Oh,
that's amazing. Well, this has been such a fun list and so much fun to hear these ideas and to see, even again, for me, seeing the arcs of some of these stories. Like, I've known the story of Phantom over the years. I've known, of course, everybody knows the story of Annie. If you don't, I think it's going to be on Thursday night with Harry Connick Jr.
Who's great, by the way. Harry Connick Jr.
No problem.
Musical fans,
still just looks a little weird. Bald Harry Connick Jr. as Daddy Warbucks. I don't know how I feel.
Odd.
But it is neat, even for these, like I said, for these stories that I've known for so long, but never really took the time to think about them in the context of Star Wars and to see the parallel lines that run, between those stories. And again, so many of those stories are timeless. West Side Story is Romeo and Juliet. West Side Story is, every other star-crossed lovers story, whether it's Annie and Padme, whether it's, Rey and Ben, whatever it is, those lines cross and intersect. And that's the beauty of story, is that it can be timeless and it can be reinvented. And, as you brought up, George said, it rhymes. It's like poetry. But even more than that, story, I think story is eternal. I think story is something that is, ever present and evergreen. And so we get to keep telling them, and we get to tell them in silly ways. We get to tell them in, serious ways. And for everybody that needs their silly, when this is over with, they're going to load up those 2 hours of Annie the Parody musical and They're going to
It's
chuckle off to
something.
sleep time tonight. That's right.
It's something.
Claire.
You'll have an experience.
You will have an experience. That's the guarantee. No other details needed, but you will have
And you'll add it to your
an
workout
experience.
playlist.
See, there you go. So Claire, this has been a ton of fun. Tell everybody, we talked about a bunch of the different stuff that you do, but give us the plugs. Tell us where we can find you, what all you've got coming up.
Yeah, so you can find me on the Imperial Senate podcast. We're on Twitter at Imp Senate Pod and on Instagram at Imperial Senate Pod. You can catch me on Broaxium Sunday nights, usually shooting the poodoo, same time, 8 p.m. So go and check out tonight's episode. Tonight, the Poodoo crew has been talking about their favorite trailers of all time, which is super fun. I can't wait to personally go back and rewatch that.
Absolutely.
But they're go subscribe, subscribe, all of the things to all of my shows. And you can follow us at Broaxium on both Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me at CStribs, and you can catch me Tuesday nights, 7:30 p.m. Central Time on Twitch. I'll be playing Battlefront 2 mostly, but every now and then I'll be slipping in a couple other games, which are fun. Lord, I feel like I have other things to plug, but I can't think of what it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think
that's
you
what
hit
it
most
is.
of them.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of movie trailers, and I also am going to have to go back and watch the Poodoo show tonight. How about that Spider-Verse 2 trailer that dropped last night?
Oh my God.
I mean, scoop me up off the floor, because I will be honest, since Rise of Skywalker has come out, I think this is the most excited I've been for a movie trailer since we knew we were getting new Star Wars.
Mhm.
Like, I love Into the Spider-Verse in a way.
It's the best Spider-Man movie. It's
I
the
love
best.
it in the way I love Rebels. Like, it's hard for me sometimes to get it completely out into words about what resonates for me and why I like it so much. And as a 43-year-old man, why am I so in love with this dumb cartoon, or, whatever. And so from the time that movie ended, it was, I need more Miles. Like, I need more, of all of this, of the story. And so we were out last night. We were at a party that my father-in-law was throwing, and I happened to step outside to call and check on my kids as they were getting ready to go to bed. And for a split second, I pulled up Twitter, and it was just there. Like, I didn't know that we were supposed to be expecting this. I didn't know, and I just looked at it and I thought, this can't be real. What's going on here? And I'm so excited for more Spider-Verse. Like,
that is the best Spider-Man movie. It is. It's the best. I don't care. Fight me. Whatever. I don't care. The level of hype, because I knew some point in the future we're getting the sequel to the Spider-Verse movie.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I was not expecting it. I saw it today, this morning, and I was like,
yeah. Well, and it was really fun too.
Oh.
We found this morning, and I showed it to my girls because they're super obsessed with all the different MCU stuff, and they're watching Hawkeye, and I was like, Kate, I was like, that's Gwen, and the dad is what's his name from Loki? What was the bad guy at the end? The Epi Oberey or whatever his name is. Like, he's Miles's dad, and all the different voice actors, and like, oh yeah, they're also this other person that and they freaked out about that. And Michael's right. This trailer ended with the words part 1. There's going to be at least 2 of these.
It's so crazy, and it's like literally a real universe, like multiverse, because they're voice acting, and they're also in other roles in Marvel. Come on now, it's just
all the crossover we need.
Kisses all around, chef's kiss.
Joey, we're getting to work here. We're getting to work here. We're sorting it out.
Times.
Yep.
Wow. I need it.
Yep. That's one of my kids that put that one up there. I'm pretty impressed with that.
That's
good.
Awesome.
That's
amazing.
This has been so much fun, and I can't thank you enough for coming to hang out tonight and playing hooky with the Poodoo boys, guys. I apologize, but we had fun tonight, and we know y'all did too. But thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you to everybody who hung out in the live chat tonight. I always appreciate when y'all are around, and adds to the conversation so much. Like I said, grab t-shirts if you want to. I don't know if they're on sale this weekend. I haven't looked, but they're on sale, it seems, every other weekend. So we'll try to let you know when they are. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, the Annie t-shirt is going to happen. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll put a link out for that one. And I don't know. I said this last week at the end of the show, and like pretty much by the time I had hit end on the stream, I was already planning the next week's show. So I will say I was supposed to take the month of December off, but I know me and I want to just keep doing shows and talking to fun people. So I make no promises if there'll be a show next week. There might be, there might not be. I don't know what I'm doing next week. So we may be here, we may not. We may actually take the Sunday off. But in the meantime, you can find us on Twitter at Whills Pod. All of our other social medias are also at Whills Pod. Check all of those out. If you're listening on the audio, go back and check out the video version of this one. I promise you the fun Photoshops will be worth it. And if you aren't already subscribed to us on YouTube as an audio listener, throw us a sub over there too. We would appreciate it. I probably need to start asking people to leave us reviews wherever you listen to podcasts. That probably I think is helpful, but I don't ever think about doing that kind of stuff. So if you want to leave us a review, that'd be awesome. And as I said at the top of the show, the new episode of Mom See You is out, where we watched Black Widow on Friday night. And it went really well. And my wife, who again has no understanding of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, she thought Mighty Mouse and He-Man were a part of the MCU before we started this whole thing. She really loved Black Widow, and it kind of has moved into her favorite position so far, just with the backstory with Yelena and Natasha. And there's a lot of power in that story of freeing these women from bondage. And, you know, it rings true to a lot of the horrible things that are going on in our world, which I don't know that I thought as much about the first time I watched it when it came out on Disney Plus, you know, a month or two back. But it was a great episode. We had a fun talking about it. And my 5-year-old did one of the great bait and switch joke tells, because she stopped in the middle and like had this really serious moment and then immediately followed it up with like a poop joke. So that's also worth tuning in. She did me proud on that one. So check out Heroes of the Mom See You if you don't mind. And we will be together again at some point in the near future. But in the meantime, may the force be with you always.